Who is it?
His name is Andy Mineo. It's like the one song he's like.
Oh, he's got an album with like a van on the front cover, right? From like maybe 15 years ago.
You're right. But yeah, so I just liked it. I heard the song, I'm like, oh wow, this is really, really good. So.
This is cool.
The album's called Neverland.
Neverland. Well, thank you, Rich, for joining me on this.
Man,
I really appreciate this.
Glad to be on the show.
Thank you so much. Like I said, I want to keep it as casual as possible. I want this to be like the relaxing part of your Friday, not the thing that adds stress to you. So let's just talk about your story, what got you into physical training, and then different things like that and how we got to know each other. And I'll lead the charge on that. So if you're ready, we'll get to it.
Yep.
Cool. A little bit about how I got to know you was my dad worked with you first. And then through him, he started recommending like, hey, Matt, you might want to get back and do physical training. Because I had just done cardio for a few years, thinking that was all I needed to get by. But through my dad, he introduced me to you, and then we started working together, and we had a really good time. And I started to notice that like we would talk about some things other than working out. So you want to take it from there? And
so I think what I learned about with you is just kind of hearing your journey of what you were trying to do and trying to accomplish in life, and just seeing that drive that you had. And I remember we would talk about certain things, and every once in a while, I'd have a quote that would like pop in my mind and be able to say, let me tell Matthew about this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it started. In addition to, like I said, we talked about books and all those different things and all. So it's like, I think that's what really kind of took out a little more, was kind of like, we look forward just to not just to do our training and help you with your different goals, but also just the fact we can we can talk about certain things like books or whatever and philosophies and also, and that's what made each of our sessions fun.
I think back over those sessions, maybe we did 8 to 10 total sessions together. And I had a great time. I remember what set you apart from any other trainers I've worked with is the way you start with a new client. I knew you were going to take me seriously and you were going to treat our relationship like a business, which I appreciated. And that trickled through to our personal lives and how we started to talk about business-related books. And I thought that was so cool. Like you brought out a BMI calculator from the beginning. You sat down with me and you wanted to know what my goals were.
Right.
It wasn't a scenario where I paid you for you to learn about human beings. Like it was, we worked together. Right. And I think those goals changed as we went through it. So that was awesome. Another thing I'll highlight is my shoulder injury.
Yes.
And you were so willing to take time out of your own schedule and learn about labral tears.
Right.
How to help me. So could you talk about like injuries related to sports and like how you approach that?
Okay, well, I think one thing that I've learned that's more common and probably people don't know about it is dealing with a lot of, sports injuries are one thing, but also when we talk about like a lot of musculoskeletal dysfunctions and stuff. So most people don't know that your average person, about 1.5 million people every year, are dealing with some type of musculoskeletal type of pain. And what that entails is sometimes it's like you might notice where maybe someone's shoulder might be a little lower than the upper shoulder, or maybe they slouch too much, or maybe their hips are slightly off. And what happens is that might tend to add to other issues, and also what we like to say, there's more compensations. In other words, you might have it where if you have a lower back problem, also that might be caused because maybe your hamstrings are not strong enough to get right, or maybe you have hip flexors that might not be strong. So when I started to notice that was more of a need in our market, I started getting more into those things and starting to learn. I had some mentors like myself. I had other mentors who were for myself that really was helping me to have a better understanding of what it was. So when you came along and you were telling me a little bit more about the shoulder and those different types of things, it's like because I love to help people. And another thing, as a quote comes to my mind, as we talked about earlier, is that's a big motto for Forward Fitness is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So being able to know that my clients, each and every one of my clients, that when they are having a session with me, they know I care about their problems, I care about their goals. I don't care if it's a wedding or just trying to get back in shape or whatever case, or there's some injury that's been bothering them for 6 years. And I'm going to take that time to show hey, this is team you.
Yeah.
This is us being able to sit down, let's figure it out or where. So for me to be able to take the time, okay, let's figure out, he talks about these particular problems with his shoulder. All right, what muscles where might be lacking in that point? Okay, let's strengthen those different things. What things can we do to give you or give a client work, so give them homework to be able to say, do this at home so that we're able to progress a little bit more than what we were before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so those are really big things. So recently I've been getting a lot more people, which is basically my dream, was to build a company of corrective that can help people with that, and so it'll be beneficial so that people don't have to feel like they have to live with that type of pain aware. So that hurts my heart to know. It's like people, well, I've had this 14 years, I guess I'll have to deal with it. No, you don't. We just need to figure out how do we get muscles to work the way that they're supposed to so that you can really live the life you want to live.
That's awesome.
So,
It's cool to see that attention to care from someone like you. And, my experience with weight training has been in football locker rooms and gyms related to those types of teams, and lacrosse and wrestling. And, a lot of my experience has been pain related.
Yeah.
But to come to someone like you who truly has, I would say, an emotional side of it that is willing to help in that way, I think that's the point of the STAR a lot of people miss when considering the whole body wellness. And I just want to thank you for that.
No,
so that's
absolutely,
awesome.
man. Glad I could be a help.
Yeah.
Man. That means a lot.
You mentioned mentors. Is there anyone you're willing to talk about, or maybe even what makes a good mentor in your life?
I would probably say one thing is, number one, like I said, someone who really cares. They see an eagerness from another individual who wants to better themselves. And I think that's why we connected. Even though we're in two different industries, the fact that I could see the ambition that you had is like, I'm going to make something of myself come hell or high water. Yeah. People who are achievers or people who are ambitious will see other people like that. And it's very, very hard to not want to give a little bit of something that way. So when you see that type person, but I'd say, someone who cares, someone who knows that they want to be able to give back. And also, one of my mentors has been in the industry for over 40, 45 years. And they're a person where they realize that they're not going to do this for a very long time, but when they see somebody, they can be able to pass that gift of helping other people on to someone who truly wants to take the time to learn the word. So, and what I love about my mentor is that I will ask a question. So, like, for instance, I think I had one time, I had a question that was kind of we were talking about, I think it was from, we were talking about your calves. And I remember we were talking about your calves. So, and
that's going to make some people laugh. So, I mean, in high school specifically, people would just walk behind me and say, oh my goodness, hackle those. Keep going. I'm glad you said that. I'm very red.
So he really is. It's like, I wish you could see this, but he is. So,
it's amazing.
But it's like, so I was talking to my mentor, and I'm like, okay, I have this client. He's got bodybuilder calves. And also, but I can see what slight is by him just doing calf raises, I can see where there might be a slight deficiency from one to the other. And so, what my mentor does is that when I have a question, they never answer. You know what they do? They ask me a question. Okay, Rich, that calf's my little bigger now like that. It's like, yeah, okay, what's wrong with her hip? What? What's wrong with her hips? Okay, no, it's like that. So then I think we had one time we were talking a little bit, and then I'm like, and I remember asking, I said, do you have anything on your lower back on the left side? Like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But that's the thing about it, having a mentor to be able to say okay, if I can ask the proper questions, you'll be able to figure out the answer. And that person is what's really driven me to I want to know more. Because now the happiness for me is to notice that I can take that information, bring it to you, you're feeling better. It's like that, and it just cycles. That's all it is. It's just one big cycle. It's okay, You're happy because you're doing better. I'm happy because I can actually help another person, which makes me want to go back to that person, teach me more. Teach me more how I can make this person and make other people better and all. So although it's yes, I help people with building muscle and losing weight and all those different things, but my passion, as of late, where it's just being able to hear those type of things. I mean, I look forward to people. So I'm having a good day, but man, it's my hip's hurting. Really? Why is it? Where are you feeling it? was like that. What do you do? And like say, okay, let's try it at that. And I've actually gotten clients for that. And actually, just to share a story, recently, and because I don't want to get away from our question, I just had someone recently. They had torn an ACL 6 years ago from a skiing situation. So sat there and I was working with her and also, and I started doing those same things, just kind of asking questions. Did my research just like I did on your shoulder. And we just started breaking those things down. Whereas, and I'm like, okay, if you do this thing and doing that thing, so help with your hips and all. And she had told me, it's like, Rich, this is the first time where she had all this weakness on her right side. And it's like, Rich, I don't feel that anymore. And that made me so happy to know it's like the work paid off. You've made someone happier, and now they're living a better life. They thought I could never do that. Oh, my feet are flat. I'm not that weak on that right side anymore. I feel like I'm a little bit more upright. And so that's been really good. So to add some mentors, someone who cares, someone who wants to deliver back into what you, when they see someone who has that type of passion, those are big things. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah, and then I would probably say anybody, just mentors, as we talk about like with books and all, people have played a big role for me. Robert Kiyosaki's done very good, obviously in the business and finance, and also I'd say Tony Robbins, and also
he's great.
Yeah, Tony Robbins is really good. And then Brian Tracy, I know the late Brian Tracy, phenomenal type person. If you don't read a book of his, and also you can just go on to YouTube and just see some of the things that he talks about, where one of my favorite ones is time management. It's an old 1980 type of video, but I promise you, just the first 5 minutes of listening, if you have a problem when it comes to time management, you procrastinate or something like that, just the first 5 minutes of listening what his tricks and tips have and work, you'll definitely get something out of it.
That's awesome. It sounds like you get a lot of joy out of your current job.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is that what you would call your why, for why you keep doing your job? What's kept you in the physical fitness industry? Has it gotten to the point where you can't do anything else because of that joy you get from this role? Would you ever say something like that? Or
yeah, I mean, I can't see myself as being a person who doesn't do something that has to do with fitness and all. And a lot of that, honestly, the joy starts with myself being a person who was a very shy kid, and this is all through college, where I was very shy, skinnier guy, and so, and I think one of the first things you and I had talked about is that, fitness changed my life. I mean, from being a shy kid, and sure, I played some sports and all, but maybe just didn't have a lot of confidence and stuff. And fitness changed my body over the course of, one summer before, I think, like probably my sophomore or my junior year of just spending time in the gym and seeing my body changes, which, by the way, I didn't even know my body was changing. I had no clue. I went back to see my friends a week before school started, and they were something there, and they saw me like, whoa, like, what? It's like, you're huge. What have you been doing? I'm just lifting weights. I don't know. I'm just sitting up there lifting weights and reading 4 or 5 magazines. I don't know.
Isn't this what everyone does?
Exactly. And I mean, seriously, that's what you're thinking. Like, does everybody do this? No. But I mean, I think it's the passion to be able to see how fitness has changed my life, and how can I bring that on to someone else. And if I could tell you a story, I don't know if you remember me telling you about the Constant story.
No, please remind me.
So when I first became a trainer, I was probably about a year in, and I was working at a park district back in Chicago. So this lady named Constance comes in, and what we would normally do is we would do some type of fitness orientation, show them all the different machines and different things like that. So she comes in, and she's showing all the different machines, and make sure doing all that, so at least she feels comfortable. She gets done, and she says, it's like, Rich, thank you so much for showing me this. It means so much to me. I said, yeah, I'm glad I can help and all. But here's where the critical part comes. Then she says, Rich, the reason why I'm doing this and all is because I'm doing this for my kids. And I sat there and I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. I was like, well, why are you doing this for your kids? Matthew, she starts crying. Now, of course, remind you, I'm a young trainer, just something like that, and I'm going like, okay, I'm here at my job.
I'm not getting paid to do this.
I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, she's crying. Did I say something insulting? I'm looking around and all. But the thing that really meant a lot to me, which is the reason why I'll never forget, was her answer after I asked her that question. She said, because I don't want my kids to be embarrassed of me when I go to the PTA meeting. Now, 2 things happened right at that second. Number 1, the world stopped right there, and it was just me and her, okay? Number 2, you really see what personal training is. It truly is personal. Someone is trusting you enough with one of the 2 things that's most important. One, their body. The other one's your bank account. All right, but you get the point.
It's a very good point.
But someone's trusting you with their body, and the fact that they sit there and they can come to you and say, "There's something wrong. I don't know what to do. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And so for me, I never forgot that story. So when it talks about where the passion kind of started, it's listening to Constance that day. And if Constance ever sees the show and all, thank you. I'll always be grateful that I met her. And also, but her story gave me, really paved the way of, you have something here and you're able to help people. So that's what that joy is. So when I'm answering a question about, could I see myself doing anything else? Not really. I just love what I do. And I learned that even in high school. A quote I saw in one of the books. You remember in high school we used to get the little calendars that had our high school logo on. And so, my last year I remember there was a quote and I never forgot it. It says, "When is work not work? When it's fun." So the fact that I can get up every single day and be able to say, hey, I get to help someone or I get to lift a little weights or something like that, that's what makes it really joyous.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome,
Thanks for
man.
being so thorough with your answers.
Thanks, man.
You clearly prepared for this.
Yeah.
And that's like, thank you. That's such a compliment to me. All right, I got a little curveball question.
Okay.
What's a habit you've removed for the better and a habit you've added for the better?
Oh, a habit I removed for the better.
I'm putting you on the spot and I apologize. But
a habit I removed for,
health-centered, something that can help
Health-centered.
listeners.
Okay, I would say, man, I gotta think about it. That doesn't mean the list is long.
Let me start to answer this and then it can help you jog your memory.
Okay.
So, drinking water. A
Yes.
lot of water every day. That's a habit I've implemented. And a process I've done that with is finding the right water bottle.
Okay.
Like a functioning water bottle where I enjoy drinking from it. It's so simple, but that's helped me. Does that help you jog your mind at all?
Yeah, so I would say investing in getting, it sounds simplistic and all, but I would probably say getting enough meal prep things for a day. And also because sometimes, if you have your 7, 8, 10-hour days of training and you're just going on and all that, so sometimes you get so busy that you, as weird as that sounds, like, sometimes like, you're so busy like that and you want to be able to make sure you can find something to eat so that you're not going out to eat or doing, eating stuff where because, you're in such a rush and I got to eat. So for me, I think what's really helped me because I doing a lot more of my meal prep. And also, that's helped me out tremendously. And
That's
also,
a great
plus
habit.
it saves on a lot of money. And also, because if you think about it, your average person probably spends maybe $15 to $20 worth trying to go get a coffee at Starbucks, something like that. When you can sit there and make your own coffee, if that's what you choose to do, or it might stop you from going out and maybe getting that one sandwich where that it's not really healthy. And also, instead of taking that time to meal prep, like I did some chicken tenderloin today, added a little bit of some good brown rice with some broccoli, those different things, so at least I know it's there, it's ready to go, and it helps me to stay towards my goals when I know I can put that in the bag, go off to the gym, be able to plan that also. And I'd probably say to coincide with that, I would probably say my planning. And I guess it kind of answers your question also. A thing that I've added on planning, which goes back to what I said about time management. So being able to know that I can plan things out so that what we were talking about before, I know that, okay, between 11:30 and say 12:30, I'm doing my eating or I'm doing my workout or something like that. So what people might call blocking, and also that you're blocking time off to do that. That is so critical. It doesn't matter whether it's fitness or business or anything like that. When you are learning how to be able to block your time off, it stops you from forgetting those critical things that might be moving you forward towards your goals.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I'm trying to do something, it's like I know that I will not get it done unless I pull out the old planner or put, it's on my phone or my physical planner, and it's good to have two. Very, very good. So because, quite frankly, we can't always trust
and you
technology.
can cross-reference them.
Exactly. So at least it's like, okay, I'm supposed to see Matthew on this particular day. It's like that. So I know I have to do this particular thing. I have to learn this, and put all those different things. So so I'd say to add something, my time management and working my planner on a daily basis is very critical.
That's huge. Thanks for answering it that way. Here's a good question. So if I am a listener and I've never really begun a workout routine, what advice do you have for the first day, the first week, the first month, 6 months?
Awesome.
What's a nice ramp-up process for someone beginning their workout journey? Just very tangible.
Okay. So I would say the first thing I like to do is is a quote that I like to implement when I do any type of fitness orientation with people.
Yeah.
So, and I say, if is your whys, so, and I'm a firm believer, and this is where it comes from. It's like, if you have a strong enough why, you can do any how. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll sit there and say, well, I want to lose weight. Well, what does that look like? And so we take that time to figure out what those things are. It's like, what does losing weight look like to you? What do you think things you'd like to do to be able to accomplish those? So you have to be able to paint a vision. So that's the first thing we want to do. Once we're able to do that, then we kind of figure out in that first month, okay, what are some basic goals that we want to accomplish? So I want to lose 40 pounds. Let's say they come up with something specific. Okay, well, you say you want to lose 40 pounds and all. Okay, but let's break this down. Let's start with, say, maybe 3, maybe 4 pounds for the month. Okay, that's a little more tangible, okay? And we'll just work on those different things. And then what we try to do is we try to start with little habits. This is the reason why I started adding some, what I like to now call homework. And also, like, for instance, when we were working with your shoulder, and I told you about some different bands and like that, and I said, okay, Matthew, it's like when you're not with me, you can actually use some of these bands and be able to do that. Now, what that does is that now gives commitment to yourself, and obviously somebody who's going to be accountable to you, I being the trainer, to be able to know, it's like, okay, he's doing it. So, because obviously I want to know, it's like if no one's done what they're supposed to be doing. So I think, being able to figure out what's your reason why that's going to help you stay motivated, and setting the smaller goals will help you to get towards those 3 months, 6 months goals. And also, after about 3 months, and let's say we go ahead, we'll hit those goals. Okay, let's set some new ones. All right, so you either want to maintain where you are, but a lot of times what I found in my 16-year career is that sometimes people say like, well, Rich, now that I can do this, maybe I want to run a 5K or something, or maybe I want to do this. Okay, so let's readjust our goals and start going for that, and start going for those next things.
Absolutely.
And also, but I think the biggest thing is like we want to do is try to make sure that fitness becomes a habit. It becomes something that's part of you and stuff like that. So, and I guess I'm a big believer. I say, fitness is contagious.
Yeah.
And also, so yes, because once you start getting those good feelings, and I tell it to everyone, I don't care if you're 18 or 88, if you go to the gym and you do it consistently, even for 1 week, and those endorphins aren't kicking in, something's wrong. You're not alive.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think those are the big things where to be able to do. So again, first week, figure out what those whys are. Set the small little goals. Once you get those goals, let's try to set new goals. Figure out all those different things.
Just simplify it.
Yes.
Make real, tangible steps for yourself.
Right.
I think that's important. All the times where I've fallen out of working out habits, I've made such big goals to where they, at some point, someday, I ultimately get like overwhelmed by it, and then I give up.
Yeah. And that's what it. Sometimes you'll hear people, and I know. What is it? Matter of fact, going back to what we were talking about before. So Brian Tracy talked about that. He says you have to do back to the future thinking.
Yeah.
So it's okay. You might have the particular goal. Okay, I want to lose 60 pounds. Okay, now that we have the 60-pound goal, let's go backwards from here. What do we do to get here?
Yeah.
And then we just break those down like that. So it's like, so it's like you go backwards to execute forwards. Okay. So I think that's an important thing to do. So it's good to have those goals, but let's try to break these down into tangible things so that you don't get discouraged where in those first few weeks or maybe that month or where, does that make sense?
Absolutely. That makes sense. As far as looking forward, in your career, you've mentioned growing a business, different things like that. Where do you see the workout industry going in the next 10 years?
I think that the industry is going to go a lot more where people are going to care more and more about their fitness. I think a lot of the millennials that we have, they care a lot more about their fitness. And so I think it's going to become definitely a bigger thing. I truly, truly do. And also, and I think that, and that's great. I think it's great for America. They say on average only about 25% of the U.S. population actually works out on a regular basis. According to Surgeon General words, that's normally about 240 minutes per week. Yeah. And also, so it's about 30 minutes on average. So doing those different things. So I think it's definitely going to grow a lot more. I think people, unfortunately, due to the fact of what we had with COVID, I think people figured out how important health truly is. Yeah. And obviously that was a very hard time. And that was a hard time for even our industry. We actually had to shut down for a couple of months. But even in that time, I still had that optimism that it's like, people, although we're going through this tragic time, I think people are really going to care about how fitness really is important. And it's not just for aesthetics, or it's just overall, I want to be, a person in my 65, 70, 80 years old and still be able to run and do things or do things with grandkids, whatever the case may be. I mean, those are key things also. But I definitely see there's going to be an uptick.
I bet during COVID you realized how social going to the gym was.
Man, yes. Yeah, so I would say, because I still remember the day we had to shut down or so, and that was Friday, March 13th. And so, and to not be in a gym for, okay, so it was March 13th, and I think we got back May 23rd. And just not being in the gym and working out at home, and also, but quite honestly, it's like, it's funny, before everything broke out, I came this close, Matthew, from actually going to put my squat rack and also on Facebook Marketplace.
Wow.
I came that, you know what? I think I was about 2 weeks away from that. Actually, I'm like, I got the gym, so like that. It's got all the weights. Maybe I'll just try to do that where. So, but something either made me forget about it or where case be. And literally 2 weeks later, all of a sudden we found out from the city ordinance where it's like, no, you got to shut it down. And man, I'm so glad I didn't do that. So, of course, all that time where we're working out, so what, 7-9 weeks, I guess? So about 7-9 weeks. And also I'm sitting out there lifting weights. And then after a while, it's like all the weights I had putting on the bar, that wasn't enough. And also, but what was critical about that is that I was actually asking someone that's like that had weights, some plates. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of done lifting all the weights that I have right here. Can I borrow a couple plates? And yeah, sure, go ahead.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, sure, go ahead like that. So I go there. Of course, I have the key to play. So I go there and walk in. And it was just like eerie. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, Ricky, this is the first time you've been in the gym in 2 months. And it was like, oh my gosh, and it just really, really touched you about how important and how much the gym means something to me. And so, I went in there and just every plate I could possibly get and and do all those different things or so. But yeah.
Dude, I'm glad I got you talking about that. I feel like I could make a whole podcast on everyone's specific experience with COVID.
Yeah, it was rough, man.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it was. It was a really rough time. I think probably I could handle the first 2 to 5 weeks pretty, working out, like I said, working out at home. Obviously I had some people I was, training online. I still do some online fitness and online training for that. And that was all fine. And also, but honestly, it wasn't just me. I had clients. I had one client, my buddy Johnny. Shout out to Johnny if you ever see this. Johnny ended up calling me one day, and he sits and he says, Rich, look, I need to work out. I'm gaining a lot of weight. I have a squat rack in my house. Just go ahead, just pull around the back and like that. So I'll sneak you.
It's like a drive-by workout. That's crazy.
It's a drive-by fitness, So it's like, and we're still up there. It's Mission Impossible. I'm like, they're going around like, looking through Zionsville. It's like just sneaking in.
That's awesome. Mask out.
So yeah, exactly. That's what we had to do. And also, but I had clients like Rich. I just can't sit around the house. I have to do something. And that's when you start to notice, as I stated before, it was starting to become really, really important. It was probably just driving people crazy. And like, I can stay at home all day and I can't do anything. And I can't. Yeah, it was pretty rough. And I know it was rough for a lot of other colleagues. And some people, friends of mine who are in the industry, they continued on. Some dropped off because it was just a really hard time. And that's why I thank God where I'm able to do what I love to do and continue to do it even through such a tragedy like that.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that perspective and being vulnerable about it. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's slowly start to wrap up here. Mm-hmm. Let's get one book recommendation from you to the audience. For any listener on all walks of life, people are going to listen to this that aren't necessarily fitness people. Mm-hmm. So with that, I'll say...
Oh, okay, man. I'm trying to go through the list. And also, I would say...
It can be a couple.
Okay, that's fine. So, I would probably say the number one thing that pops in my head is, say, Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. I would recommend for anybody, there's a chapter where he talks about, the 2 emotions that makes people take action. Please read that chapter, and then when you're done, read it again. Because I think it's so important that people understand what those 2 things are. I'm not going to ruin it for you. I definitely implore you to be able to read that. But yeah, I would say Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within was something that really helped to change my life. And then I'd probably say another one that has to do with mindset. And I would say when it comes to mindset, I would say Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
I think that's a really good one. It's a classic from Napoleon Hill, but it's just understanding. And I love, and I don't know necessarily if it's written in the book and all, but it does play a lot to it where he says, everything you see in the world was created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. And so when you're able to have the confidence or have the vision of whatever it is you want to accomplish, whether it's having the right body or building that business or whatever the case may be, you have to have a good positive vision for yourself, for what that vision is, and that's part of the things that will help you to push forward and all. Because like I said, when I came here to Indiana, like I said, I had absolutely no clients, but I made a determination that I'm going to build Ford Fitness come hell or high water, and now being here almost 10 years, 16 years in the industry where so, and making those push where so, and I was able to do it. But I had to have the vision to leave where I wasn't from, to come to a brand new market where I knew absolutely nobody and say, hey, I'm going to build this, I'm going to keep that vision, I'm going to stay positive, and here we are.
That's super inspiring.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you.
Please plug your business. Go ahead and promote what you are and what you.
All right.
That should have been the first thing I did.
That's okay. That's okay.
Go right ahead.
Again, my name is Rich Ford. I am an owner of Ford Fitness Personal Training. I specialize in personal training, strength conditioning, also corrective exercise. People who have problems with their shoulders, as I mentioned before, about shoulders, hips, pain, it's like that. So I definitely am looking to help as many people as possible. I have clients not just here in Indiana, but also across the country. If you're definitely interested and want to reach out, where you can actually go onto my Instagram page, which is Ford Fit Indy. That's FORD. FITINDY, so Ford Fit Indy. You can also look at me at Ford Fitness Personal Training on my Facebook page. So I try to put out new videos where that helps in different dynamics, showing a lot of my clients. And yeah, I definitely am just looking to help out as many people as I can. And you know, the motto of our company is changing the way you live. And so if there's ways, or you're looking to change the way you live, whether it's trying to be stronger, lose weight, you know, try to get rid of that hip pain or knee pain or whatever the case may be, I'm here to help. I want to help you. I have a passion for helping those who are. So definitely reach out to me. I'm sure he'll be able to take my information and hopefully be able to connect and make sure you live the best life.
Sweet. The last thing I've asked each person on my show to do is, I call it an elevator pitch. Speak from the heart. Whatever people need to hear from all walks of life. Could you just talk about like maybe your why and like to inspire people to consider working out more and like consider the path you've taken?
Okay.
Just whatever comes to mind, just to wrap this up.
I would say just to encourage people to work out, you know, so your body is very important to work. So, and you have to look at life. If you want to live your best life, you know, physically, and also you have to look at yourself. You know, life is like a video game. You only get one quarter. So with this body that you have, you want to make sure where you're doing the best you possibly can. And as we had talked about before, it's about having that why. Maybe your why is being able to be that grandma or grandpa, be able to play with your grandkids who are in the backyard. Or maybe it's just to be able to overcome from an injury, or you know what, you just want to feel good overall. Where so maybe wearing those favorite pair of jeans, or maybe that suit wear that you want to have that you wore at the wedding maybe 5 or 10 years ago, whatever that might be. Where so you have to find those whys to be able to push you forward towards your goals. Where so I think that's something that's just inspiring. Understand that no matter what things you might be going through, if you might feel, oh, I'm not reaching my goals, I'm not like that, just get back up. You have to take it one day at a time. It's good to have a good picture of losing the weight or whatever the case may be, but you just got to take it one day at a time. And I promise you, if you do that, you're going to be in a better situation and you'll be exactly where you want to be.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate being on the show.
Wrap it there.